for Purdue, what he seems to have run afoul of in the most recent investigations is that because the Justice Department and others started looking at his stock sales as a result of all of the obviously corrupt sales that he did that had to do with the pandemic, other stuff started to get caught in that. So the Justice Department closed its look into Purdue's coronavirus-related stock trades as it did Loeffler's. But with Purdue, they found something else. His sale of more than $1 million in stock in January from an Atlanta financial company for which he previously sat on the board weeks before that CEO stepped down and the stock price plummeted. I wanna show you a short video clip that really quickly summarizes sort of how this appears to have gone down.
Latest attacks from Ossoff target the timing of Senator Purdue's sales of more than $1 million worth of stock from Atlanta-based Cardlytics, a financial company where Purdue was once a board member. In emails obtained by the New York Times, Cardlytics CEO at the time, Scott Grimes, emailed the senator on January 21st. David, I know you are about to do a call with David Evans. As an FYI, I have not told him about the upcoming changes. Senator Purdue responded, I don't know about a call with David or the changes you mentioned. The Cardlytics CEO emailed back the next morning. David, sorry, that email was not meant for you. Wrong, David. An email mix-up. But the next day, on January 23rd, financial disclosure forms show Purdue sold between 1 to 5 million in Cardlytics stock. 6 weeks later, Cardlytics stock plummeted when the CEO announced he was stepping down, forecasting disappointing earnings. On March 18th, with Cardlytics stock at $29 a share, financial disclosures show Purdue bought back between $100,000 to $250,000 worth of Cardlytics stock. Cardlytics is trading this week at around $120 a share.
So that weird back and forth with the email where he accidentally gave incredibly important private information to David Perdue. Purdue, who again, much wealthier than us, absolutely broke compared to Kelly Loeffler. He's trading $100,000. Like Loeffler's like, I don't even know, I lost $100,000 out of my pocket. The wind took it, she didn't care. He was able to make a ton of money there. And thankfully, Jon Ossoff is making a big deal out of that. There's other stuff, like in 2019, he became the chair of a subcommittee that oversees the Navy. Right before that, he bought stock in a contractor that works with the Navy that ultimately benefited from legislation on which Purdue worked, which I'm sure comes as a major surprise to Purdue, who didn't know about that at all, and definitely didn't buy the stock specifically so that he could write legislation that benefited him. They should not be allowed to own or trade individual stock. And I believe that that should be literally the bare minimum. I'm personally fine with some sort of maximum income, some sort of maximum wealth for our elected officials. I understand we'll never win over tons of Americans with that. I personally believe that if you want to spend your life serving the people as an elected representative, then you should serve the people. You should not, nor should you be able to serve your own individual financial interests. But the situation right now is so lax that this corruption comes in effectively every form that I can imagine. And apparently a lot of it is totally okay, and he can totally do. And the best we can hope for is that in his runoff election, if Jon Ossoff focuses on it enough, maybe he'll lose a point. Like as a result of the most obvious corruption you can imagine. It's just, people just don't seem to care that much about it anymore.
They don't. And one, shout out to that woman's voice narrating that clip on CNN. I love her, just the way she go. I love a good like, but from that video, John, we can see that this is obviously him having an inside track of what's going on and not being held accountable. And he probably won't be brought to justice, and he probably will not be held accountable. And he will probably still be able to ascend to whatever heights he's trying to ascend to, and also amass the type of wealth that he's wanting to amass, or amass even more wealth. I like I said, I wish it's, to be that rich. One, what is that like? I wonder what that tastes and feels like. One, and two, just again, back to the privilege that these people have, that they don't operate or live in a world that is everyday people, obviously, because of the wealth they have, but just to have just a taste of the financial wealth that they are privy to would be, it's life-changing for so many people, but yet they abuse it and they're greedy and they want more and more and more. As you said, it's an addiction. Wow. Didn't he blame, say, when he was asked about the trading he said that he leaves it to his financial advisors, and I don't know what's going on, and my financial advisors take care of everything. I find that hard to believe, because even when I go to Wells Fargo and cash like a $200 check, you best believe I make sure they're putting it in the right account, and I get a receipt for what's happening with that $200. For someone or anyone that has that type of wealth, that has a team of financial advisors that are handling your portfolio that's massive, you are absolutely gonna make sure you know what's being traded, what's being invested, what are the returns. You're gonna know every nook and cranny of those transactions, because again, you are addicted, you're greedy, and you are a control freak when it comes to your money. So I'm not buying that he wasn't aware of these types of transactions, or he wasn't privy to, or he wasn't, he leaves in the hands of other people to handle his investments. I can't buy that either.
And look, it's the arrogance and the cockiness to not just do this, to not just sell, obviously selling because you know that stocks are about to go down, but then the ones that they bought to buy the teleworking and the PPE, it's so see-through. They're throwing it in our face, knowing that they're probably going to get away with it, and they're probably right in that. No, they should. The election should be publicly funded. They should be living in public housing in DC and in their district. They should be on the federal minimum wage. They should be barred from owning or trading individual stocks. And if you don't like that, you don't have to serve as an elected representative. It is purely optional. You don't have to do it. You can go off, be some rich jagoff if that's what you want to do, but you shouldn't be in charge of what happens in the American government if your inability to benefit yourself financially is that frustrating to you.
Right.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.